Hello, everybody. I wanted to walk through this application that I created, kind of similar to what I did in class. This application is called Dibble. It is meant to be a software application, crop tracker that supports more agroecological methods of farming, kind of in response to my noticing that a lot of current agricultural software primarily supports industrial methods of farming. So on this is the dashboard page of my application. It is meant to, as the page says, be the farm at a glance. So I have my farm name. The nut farm is a nod to the name of the farm that my grandparents live on. And I also display the USDA growing zone, and provide this interactive map to kind of get the farmer thinking about their local situation and some of the unique climatic situations that might come with it that affect which crops are climatically appropriate for their region. I also provide this current weather forecast. I'm pinging a free weather API called Open Meteo that allows me to dynamically grab all of this information and information, especially about the temperature and evapotranspiration, can potentially influence the farmer's plans for irrigation that day, to kind of encourage better stewardship of the Earth's resources, particularly water. And kind of for the farmer's convenience, I have this active crops display down at the bottom. The initial reason why I wanted to create this application is because as a gardener myself, I'm frequently forgetting when I planted my crops and how long until they're going to be ready to harvest. So just for their convenience, that information is down at the bottom. Some of this data is filler data. I'm sure there is not a variety of carrots called Bugs Bunny, but this application in its current state is really meant to be just a proof of concept. So if I go over to my farm page, I can edit just some of the basic information about my farm. So I could edit the farm name, zip code, these coordinates here, the USDA growing zone, its size. Maybe I decide, oh, I'm actually not really a cold subtropical highland climate. Subtropical highland maybe makes more sense, so I can save that edit. Additionally, I could add a new field name. So maybe I want to add a field 4 here. I can create that field and now it shows up down here. And then I can click on any one of these fields that already exist down here to view more information about it. So if I go into field 2 here, I can see on the left-hand side information about the soil profile of that field. So maybe I go out there and I take another soil measurement. I can input all of that information here in this pop up, any additional notes. Like maybe I notice there's poor soil organic matter content in this particular soil. I can save that information and I see it show up on the bottom. The idea behind, on the next page here. The idea behind this is really to allow the farmer to be attentive to the soil health in their field and kind of see how that changes over time. Maybe based on the previously planted crops, I could see a pattern between which crops are actually improving the soil health over time and identify a plan for how I'm going to continue to build the topsoil on my farm to have more nutritious and productive crops. I can see which crops are currently planted on my field as well as historical crops. So here, if I click on one of those historical crops, I can see just some of the basic crop information about it, any additional notes I had put in, the weather during the crop lifetime, I added this to once again encourage the farmer to think about which crops are most climatically appropriate for their particular region and situation, and see how that might influence the yield of that particular crop to identify which ones are the most fit for their farm, as well as intercrops during that crop's lifetime to identify maybe any potentially allelopathic relationships between crops. All right, so now if I go to my crops page, I have the ability to see what is planted on each of my fields. And notice in field 3, I don't have anything planted, so I have this alert here that encourages me to plant a cover crop to protect the soil. I could plant a new crop, so maybe I want to add something in field 3. I could choose any one of these crops in the drop down. So maybe let's plant some cherry tomatoes. I'm not positive how many days it takes to mature. We'll say 80. And I could add any additional notes that I want to here as well. So maybe I could say I'm trying out a new variety, and that could remind me to check back up on it later. And now I see that this tomato plant crop pops up in field 3. I can go in and edit information on any one of these crops, as well as add intercropping relationships between them to encourage less monoculture and more polyculture relationships in those fields. And once again, identify any potential for allelopathy. And then once that crop is terminated, I can check this box and it will no longer display here on the crop page. So if I go into resources now, this is the last page. I have lots of different sources for further help to the farmer. So for example, you can go in and maybe learn more about your particular climate and other U.S. cities that share that climate. I have information about your USDA growing zone, the planting calendar, soil texture, structure, moisture, organic matter, measurements, and what that means in terms of the ramifications for soil health, crop allelopathy, integrated pest management. So all of these are very technical, agricultural, scientific resources, I suppose. And then these last two here, I think agricultural ecology is very sensitive to the fact that farms do not exist in isolation. They exist in greater social, political, and economic contexts. And so that is kind of the intent behind adding the Laudato Si and the Farm and Ranch Freedom Alliance's website on the resources page. But thank you for walking through this application with me, and I'm happy to answer any additional questions you have. Thank you.